suitably. So yeah, today is the first one where I've kind of combined all the groups. So welcome, thanks everyone for coming. We're going to be looking a bit at our breath tonight. So it's called Inspire Breath. So we'll be doing lots of poses to kind of open the front of the body and the back of the body and the sides of the body as well. So just kind of thinking about getting extra space in our lungs, in between our ribs, things like that. And remembering that we can breathe with all sides of our body. And at the end, we'll do a little breathing kind of exercise as well before we go into Shavasana. So as always, look after yourselves. If there's anything that feels a bit awkward or difficult, just don't do it or adjust it for you. So listen to your body, and we'll make a start. So we'll come onto our backs on our mats. And just making ourselves comfortable here, releasing the shoulders underneath us. Maybe bringing the legs up towards the ceiling. No problem, Lucy. And just taking a moment to settle in, finding a bit of comfort here. Just rolling the shoulders underneath you and then drawing your eyes to a close. Just drawing your attention inwards, noticing how your body feels tonight. Noticing any sore bits or stiff bits, and beginning to breathe into those areas. And then beginning to breathe into the rest of the body. Just imagining that your breath is reaching the tip of your toes, the top of your head, and everywhere in between. As you become more aware of your breath, just beginning to slow it down a little, breathing with intention, just trying to fill the whole of the body as you inhale, and as you exhale, just letting go of anything that's on your mind, any tension in your body. Breathing a little deeper with every inhalation and a little slower with every exhalation. Just continuing to breathe here nice and deeply. And trying to breathe with the tummy, allowing your diaphragm, your muscles to do the work. Seeing if you can find a little bit more expansion as you inhale, and a real sense of softening as you exhale. And we'll take a few breaths here all together, breathing in through the nose, trying to fill the whole of the lungs from bottom to top. And then just sighing everything out through the mouth. Taking another big, deep inhalation here through the nose. Filling the whole of the lungs and the whole of the body. And then again, just sighing everything out through the mouth. One more big, deep inhalation here through the nose, just really trying to expand everything as you do. And then this time as you exhale, just letting that breath out slowly, with control, just trying to make it last for as long as you can. On your next inhalation, just opening the eyes, and exhaling, just softening into the mat, noticing which parts of your body, of your back, are in contact with the mat. On your next inhalation, just bringing your arms up overhead, reaching behind you, stretching out your arms as far as you can behind you as you exhale. And then again, inhaling, lifting the arms up and bringing them back down beside your body. Do that a couple more times. Inhaling, reaching up behind us. And this time as we exhale, bringing the hands back down beside the body. Once more, inhaling, reaching up behind us. And exhaling, releasing the hands back down beside the body. Bringing the palms of the hands down onto the mat, rolling the shoulders underneath you slightly. Just pause here for a moment, draw some attention to our core, just noticing all of our kind of torso area, lower torso, and thinking about sending your tummy button down towards the mat. Imagine drawing those outside edges in towards the center line, and just softening the face and the neck. Your next inhalation, we'll just lift the pelvis, come up into a low bridge. Breathing nice and deeply here. We'll just pause here for a few breaths in a low bridge, just letting some of those major muscle groups activate in our body, those glutes, those buttock muscles, that core, those inner thighs, just allowing us to warm up a little and maybe energize a little. Just breathing nice and deeply here, trying to keep that breath long and slow and even. Maybe even prodding your buttocks a little to wake them up. I'm just staying here for a couple more breaths. One more deep inhalation here. And then as you exhale, softening slowly back down to the mat. And just drawing your knees in towards your chest, squeezing them in here. Maybe just rocking side to side, just allowing a bit of release. And bringing your feet back down to the mat, planting the feet nice and firmly, rolling those shoulders underneath you again, and bring the hands either side of you, palms facing down. We'll just pause here for a moment, gather that energy in our core. And then on your next inhalation, just lifting up slowly from the pelvis, bringing those hips up into the air, just taking care to make sure that they are nice and even, maybe even bringing your fingertips to the top of those kind of pointy bits of the bone, and just checking that they feel nice and even. Just again, breathing here nice and deeply, opening up the front of the body. Great counter stretch for any sitting that we do. And keeping that breath moving in and out of our bodies, drawn in by the stomach muscles, the diaphragm, and just release from there too. And just a couple more breaths here. And then on your next exhalation, softening back down to the mat, squeezing those knees in towards the chest again, just giving yourself a bit of a hug, rocking side to side, doing whatever feels good for you. Trying to keep the tailbone flat on the mat, even as you move side to side. And then we'll bring our feet back down for one final bridge. So taking your time to set it up, rolling the shoulders underneath you and bring the palms of the hands down to the mat. And your next inhalation, wrapping all of those outside edges in towards that center line and lifting up slowly from the pelvis into that low bridge, softening the shoulders and the face, just breathing nice and deeply. Maybe lifting a little higher, but just really trying to keep those glutes active. Setting ourselves up for the rest of our class today. On your next exhalation, just slowly lowering back down to the mat and drawing the knees in once more for a little hug here, just releasing side to side if that feels good for you. And releasing the feet back down to the mat once more. Just bringing the hands down either side of you. And just pause for a moment, see if we can connect to that core again. So when we're talking about the core, it's the deep core muscles. We're not really interested in the abs at the top so much, but all of those stabilizing muscles that keep us upright and walking around. So just thinking about breathing into that area of our body. And then the next bit is optional. So if you'd like to, you can inhale, bring the hands behind your head, interlace the fingers, and just release the head back into the hands, drawing the elbows together. Pausing here for an inhalation. And then as you exhale, you can just see if you can lift your shoulders up off the mat, trying not to strain with your head and your neck. So you're releasing your head into your hands and you're using your core muscles to lift the shoulders. If that just feels a bit too much right now, just keeping the head on the mat and drawing that attention to your core. Breathing in, slowly lowering back down to the mat. We'll do that twice more. So as you exhale, lifting the shoulders up off the mat and just pausing here, suspending the breath for a moment. And then inhaling, lowering back down to the mat. One more. Exhaling, lifting straight back up. Just again, suspending the breath, seeing if you can just stay up in this position. Maybe lifting a little higher. And then inhaling all the way back down to the mat, and everybody exhaling, releasing their hands down beside them. And just softening the core wherever you are, whatever you've just done, allowing a bit of release there. We'll draw our knees up in towards our chest now. And if you'd like to, you can either rock and roll up to seated and then to all fours, or make your way up to all fours, any other way to suit you. Rolling over our knees and coming into tabletop, into all fours. And just take a moment here, setting up that nice length in the back, inside to the elbows to the front of the mat, gaze to the top of the mat, and breathing, still trying to keep that hugging sensation in our core, so we're still keeping that energy contained. Then we'll take a few rounds of cat-cow here. So as we inhale, we'll drop the tummy, lift the crown of the head and the tailbone. And we'll just pause here as we exhale. And then as you inhale, just round the back, come into cat, and really try and breathe into the back of the body. Exhaling here, staying here. Inhaling again, coming into our cow pose, dropping the tummy, lifting the crown of the head and the tailbone, and exhaling here. Again, inhaling, coming into cat pose, and breathing out here, just continuing between the two, in time to your own breath, but trying to breathe into the front of the body as you come into cow, and the back of the body as you come into cat. And your next inhalation, just coming back to a neutral spine wherever you are, and just pausing here, finding a bit more grounding through the fingertips as you exhale. And then we'll release our body down onto our forearms, bringing the hands together in front of us, interlacing the fingers and just tucking that little finger inside the hand so we're not squashing it. Making sure the elbows stay underneath your shoulders here. And just release the head in between the hands. Push up between or push up from the forearms and find a bit of space between the shoulder blades, just breathing nice and deeply here. Releasing the head, maybe shaking it side to side, making sure it doesn't touch the mat, just trying to find some looseness there in the neck. Either staying here and breathing nice and deeply, or as you inhale, you can tuck the toes and exhale, lift the tailbone up into a dolphin pose, taking care that your elbows don't suddenly splay out wider than your shoulders, keeping that space between the shoulder blades and breathing nice and deeply. And just hold this pose wherever you are, whether you're in dolphin or tabletop. And just try and find a little bit more length in the spine as you inhale. A little softness in the face and the neck as you exhale. Maybe still shaking out the head and breathing. On your next exhalation, releasing the knees back down to the mat. If you're in dolphin, walking them out behind you. Everybody coming down onto their tummies, releasing their head down to the mat. And bringing the hands down either side of their chest, your chest. Breathing nice and deeply here, rolling the shoulders away from your ears. Squeezing the shoulder blades together and drawing those elbows towards each other. We'll inhale up into our baby cobra, wherever that is for us. Always trying to use those back muscles, lift through the crown of the head. And just breathing here for a couple of breaths, imagining that wave moving in your body. As you inhale, maybe a slight lift, and as you exhale, a slight soften. Still trying to keep those glutes active, those buttock muscles active to protect the lower back. Remembering you can take a rest whenever you want to. This is your practice today. On your next exhalation, just releasing the head back down to the mat. And just pausing here for a moment, softening the body, finding some release here. So you inhale, planting the hands either side of you, tucking the toes. See if you can exhale into a downward facing dog. Pushing the mat away from you with your fingertips, lifting through the tailbone, and taking any movements that feel good for you here. Maybe walking out the feet, maybe moving the hips side to side, just listening to your body. Maybe shaking out the head again. Taking care to make sure that the insides of the elbows stay facing the front of the mat. Lifting that tailbone nice and high. Bending the knees if you need to keep that back nice and neutral. One more inhalation here, coming back to center, back to stillness. And then as you exhale, rounding the back, tiptoeing the feet up towards the hands, bending the knees, releasing the torso over the thighs, and just releasing here into a ragdoll, bringing the hands either side of, or to opposite elbows, just shaking it out, releasing in the back of the neck, maybe even stroking out any tension that might be there. I'm just trying to let your whole torso be heavy. Really trying to breathe into the back of the body in this pose. Your next inhalation, just slowly rolling up to standing, making sure your head is the last thing to come up, keeping the chin tucked to the chest, making that the last thing to come up, right, and finding that length in the body here. Inhaling here in our mountain pose, rooting through the feet, finding that length in the spine. Exhaling, seeing if we can reach a little further towards the ground with our fingertips, rolling the shoulders down our back. On our next inhalation, we'll sweep the arms up overhead, reach up. And as we exhale, we'll fold forward from the hips, trying to keep that spine nice and long for as long as we can. Coming into a forward fold, just releasing all the way over our bent legs when we can't keep the back flat anymore.
And just breathing here for a couple of breaths. Finding some space in the back of the body again. Really rooting through the feet. Then on your next inhalation, we'll slowly come up to our halfway lift. So that last point, you found a nice flat back, and find that length through the crown of the head, drawing the shoulders away from the ears. Breathing nice and deeply. Exhaling, releasing all the way over into our forward fold again. Stepping our left foot back behind us, dropping the knee, and coming up into our low lunge. Looking for those two nice right angles in the front and the back leg. Nice neutral pelvis, so it's not sticking out behind us or tucked underneath us. It's stacked on top of that left thigh. And then, if you like, inhaling the arms up overhead, reaching up, finding that length through the body. Really engaging that left glute to open up that left hip flexor. And drawing the right heel towards the back of the room. And your next exhalation, folding over that front foot, planting the hands and stepping back either into all fours or into plank to suit you, or half plank, depending what feels good for you in your body. Wherever you are, just pausing for a moment, finding some extra length in that spine, in the back of the body, and just having that hugging feeling in the core again. Exhaling, releasing the knees if you're in plank, and everybody lowering slowly down to the mat. Untucking the toes. We'll inhale again up into our cobra. So again, trying to keep those glutes active, lifting up with the back muscles, trying not to put too much weight through the fingertips. Doesn't matter if you're a centimetre off the mat or 10 centimetres, it's just about using those muscles to lift the body. And then on your next exhalation, we'll just release back down onto the mat. Inhale, tuck the toes and see if we can push up halfway. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Pausing here for a couple of breaths. You can always take child's pose or tabletop as an alternative option if down dog feels a bit too much tonight. And as I said before, just make this your practice. Taking any movements that feel good, taking any rests that feel good, drinking water, just looking after yourself tonight. And then on your next inhalation, lifting the left leg out behind you, and exhaling, seeing if we can bring it up towards the left hand. If you can't quite get it there, just help it along or come down into all fours first and then help that left leg up towards that left hand. Inhale, come up into our low lunge on this side. And again, finding that nice neutral pelvis stacked over that right thigh, squeezing the right glute to find that openness in the right hip flexor. Then maybe inhaling the arms up overhead, pausing here for a few breaths. And your next exhalation, folding over that front foot and stepping the right foot up to meet the left. Folding all the way over for a moment, just releasing here. And then inhaling, sweeping the arms out beside you and up overhead, reaching up towards the ceiling. And exhaling, releasing into our mountain pose again. Lovely. Taking a moment here to find that grounding through the feet, that lift through the spine, just rolling the shoulders away from our ears, really trying to find stability and length and breadth in this pose. And we'll inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, reach up a little higher. Exhale, fold forward into our sun salutation onto the other side. Pausing in your forward fold, releasing the head, breathing into the back of the body, trying to imagine a little extra space between your ribs every time you inhale. And your next inhalation, coming up to your halfway lift, wherever that is for you, rolling those shoulders away from your ears, Finding some extra length in the body, keeping that core hugging together, going towards that center line. On your next exhalation, releasing back over bent legs into our forward fold. And stepping our right foot back behind us, dropping the knee. Inhaling, coming up to a low lunge again on this side. Again, finding that length through the body. We'll just bring the left hand down to the left hip crease now. Right hand up overhead and reach up a little higher through those right fingertips as you inhale. As you exhale, just lean over slightly towards the left. It doesn't have to be a big movement. Breathing into that right side of the body, still activating that right glute. Finding a little more length in this side. And then inhaling, coming back to center, and exhaling, releasing back over that front foot. And again, stepping back into tabletop, half plank or plank to suit you. So just listening to your body here, breathing nice and deeply. Just pausing, finding some length in the spine. Nice neutral neck, gazing at the top of the mat. Keeping that breath nice and even. Then on your next exhalation, lowering the knees if you're in plank, and everyone lowering down to the mat, onto your front. Untucking the toes, keeping the hands beside your chest. We'll inhale again into a cobra. Maybe lifting up a little higher this time, really trying to engage the glutes and breathing nice and deeply. Finding that length through the spine, even as we are folding slightly in the spine. And your next exhalation, releasing back down to the mat. Inhaling, tucking the toes and pushing up halfway. And then exhaling, releasing the tailbone back and up for a downward facing dog. Walking the feet in slightly here. Don't worry about where the heels get to. Just try and find that neutral spine, that lift through the tailbone. And breathe here. Maybe take a deep breath in here. And as you breathe out, just sigh everything out. Maybe shake out the head as you do. Maybe do that a couple more times, trying to find a bit more release in the breath here. Your next inhalation, lifting that right leg out behind you. Doesn't matter where it goes or how far it goes. And then exhaling, seeing if we can step it up to the right hand. Dropping the left knee, helping it up there if you need to, going through tabletop if you need to. And then inhaling, coming up into our low lunge on this side. Really squeezing that left glute, opening up that left hip flexor. Pausing here and then bringing the right hand to the right hip crease. Inhaling the left arm up. As you exhale, releasing over towards the right, opening up the whole of that left side of the body. And imagine your torso squashed between two planes of glass. So we're not folding forward or backwards. We're just leaning over to one side. And your next inhalation, coming back up to center. And exhaling, releasing that left hand or both hands down to frame that foot. Stepping the left foot back up to meet the right foot. And just releasing here in a forward fold. Breathing nice and deeply. Finding that space in the back of the body again. And your next inhalation, sweeping the arms out beside you and up overhead, reaching up. We'll exhale, we'll go straight back down into a forward fold, folding from the hips, keeping that length in the spine, and just releasing down. Pausing here for a moment, breathing a little deeper. Then on your next inhalation, stepping that left foot back behind you, dropping the left knee, and coming back up into our low lunge. We'll bring the hands out in front of us. So Aiming for the elbows in line with the shoulders here and keeping that spine nice and neutral. As we inhale, we'll bring the hands out either side of us, seeing if we can find a little more space in the chest. Exhale here. Then inhale, see if we can round the back slightly as we bring the hands back forward in front of us, and see if we can breathe into the back of the body. Exhale here. Inhale, opening up again, breathing into the front of the body. Exhaling here, sorry. Inhaling, bringing the hands back in front of you. See if we can inhale into the back of the body. And then exhaling, releasing the hands down to frame that front foot, planting that left hand nice and firmly. We'll inhale the right arm up. Either staying here with the left knee on the mat, or if you would like to, you can lift the left leg out straight behind you. Just breathing here, releasing the head, trying not to hold any tension there. Reaching up and out with that right hand. And your next exhalation, releasing that right hand, dropping the left knee if you lifted it, and sweeping the right foot out beside you. So it looks like this from the side. Keeping it nice and straight. Just pausing here, finding that neutral spine, and then we'll take a few rounds of cat-cow here. So inhaling, dropping the tummy, lifting the crown of the head and the tailbone. Exhaling, rounding the back. And just continuing in time to your own breath. Maybe it feels a little tighter with the leg out, that's fine. Just breathing into the body here. Your next inhalation, coming back to your neutral spine. And exhaling, stepping the right foot back into a low lunge position, so it's out in front of you. Walking the hands round to the left side of the body and just releasing here, doesn't matter where you get to, just allowing some openness in the lower right side of the back. From here, see if we can bring both feet to face the long edge of the mat. Come up into a wide-legged forward fold. You can either stay here, or you can walk your hands over towards the right to release a little bit more here. Or if you'd like to, you can bend into that left knee. So we're really opening up the left side of the body as we reach towards the right. Just finding whichever version of this works best for you. And breathing nice and deeply here. Inhaling, walking the hands round to the back of the mat and dropping the right knee. So we're in our low lunge position facing the back of the mat. Engaging that right leg, making sure the legs are hip width apart still. And then from here, we'll lift the back knee, drop the right heel. So we're coming into a warrior position. We'll inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. So we're in a warrior two, facing the back of the mat. Well done. Just pausing here for a moment, really trying to find space in this pose in your body. So breathing nice and deeply, straightening that back leg, bending that front leg. Remembering that we can hop the legs a bit closer together if we need to. Want to feel strong and stable here. Gazing over the top of our left hand towards the back of the room and breathing nice and deeply. Inhaling, reaching forward, flipping that left hand up towards the ceiling. And then exhaling, reversing our warrior, releasing back towards our right leg, opening up the left side of the body. On your next exhalation, windmilling the hands to frame that front foot, hopping the right foot in a bit closer, so they can be quite close together here. And you can bend your knees if you need to. We'll just inhale, see if we can find a little more length through the body, and then exhale, release over that left foot for a pyramid pose. Breathing nice and deeply here, breathing into the back of the body. And then we'll exhale, release right foot, right knee down to the mat. So we're in our low lunge position again. Inhaling, coming up. So we're stacked on top of that right leg, squeezing that right glute, opening at that right hip flexor again. We'll bring our arms out in front of us, in line with our shoulders again. Lovely. As we inhale, we'll bring our arms nice and wide. See if we can open up a little more in the chest. Exhaling here. And then inhaling again, bringing the hands back together, rounding the back slightly, finding more space in the back of the body. Exhaling here. Once more through each position. So inhaling, opening wide. Exhaling here. And inhaling, releasing back forward, rounding the back. And exhaling here. And releasing the hands over the front foot, planting the right hand nice and firmly. And inhaling the left arm up overhead, releasing that right head, that head down towards the right, sorry. From here, you can either keep your right knee down on the mat, or you can extend it out behind you for a nice straight leg, whichever feels better for you. Breathing nice and deeply. On your next exhalation, releasing that left hand back down to the mat, and the right knee if it was off the mat. We'll bring that left leg out to the left side of our body. So the toes are facing the back of the mat, if we're still facing the back of the mat. We're in a tabletop with the left leg out straight to the side. We'll take a few rounds of cat-cow again here. So inhaling, dropping the tummy, lifting the crown of the head and the tailbone. Exhaling, rounding the back, really pushing through the fingertips, finding space in the back of the body. Continuing here in time to your own breath. Just trying to find that space. And then on your next inhalation, coming back to neutral spine. Bring the left leg forward towards the left hand again. So we're in that low lunge position. Walking the hands round to the right this time, or round to our right. And just releasing down here, opening up the left side of the lower back. Breathing nice and deeply. On your next inhalation, seeing if you can bring both feet to face the long edge of the mat, straightening both the legs and releasing into a forward fold. Either staying here or bringing the left hand, over towards the left foot and releasing here. If you'd like a stronger stretch, you can bend into that right knee and really try and open up that upper body, the inner thigh. Breathing nice and deeply, trying to root down through the outside edges of the feet, finding stability here. Then on your next inhalation, walking the hands round to the front of the mat, dropping that left knee for a moment for our low lunge. Making sure our feet are still hip width apart. And then lifting that back leg and planting the left foot down in our warrior position. So 45-degree angle to the back of the mat. Keeping the feet nicely hip width apart. We'll inhale, swoop the arms up overhead for a warrior two. Lovely. Again, finding space here in this pose. Breathing nice and deeply, lifting through the crown of the head. Reaching to either end of the room. And send your weight through the outside edges of the feet. And keeping those glutes active and engaged. And your next inhalation, reaching forward with those right fingertips and flipping the right hand towards the ceiling. Exhaling, releasing, opening up the right side of the body. And your next exhalation, windmilling the hands to frame that front foot. And stepping both feet together, just releasing into a forward fold. Breathing nice and deeply, maybe swaying side to side here. And then keeping your hands where they are, keeping the knees nice and bent, just walking the feet backwards a little bit. And really sinking back down to the back of the mat with your tailbone and just seeing if you can walk the hands a little bit further forward. Just wiggle the tailbone side to side, stretching out the sides of our body. Breathing nice and deeply. And on our next exhalation, we'll just step back into our downward facing dog, finding that length in the spine. Breathing nice and deeply here. And your next exhalation, lowering the knees, we'll come all the way down onto our front. You can either keep the hands beside your chest here and do it and go for another cobra pose, or if you'd like to, you can bring your hands down either side of your pelvis and we'll come into a locust pose. So we'll inhale here, find some extra length in the body, really engage those glutes because this is what's going to give us the strength to lift our legs and our torso in locust pose. On your next inhalation, seeing if you can lift the legs off the mat, maybe the shoulders and the head as well. Still keeping those glutes active to protect that lower back. If you feel like this is a bit much, a good option is just to bring your hands down beside your chest and come up into a cobra. Just breathing nice and deeply wherever you are, finding that length in the spine. Seeing if you can find some stillness in the breath here. Maybe lifting a little higher as you inhale. And as you exhale, just releasing all the way down to the mat. Bring the feet nice and wide to the outside edges of the mat. Bringing your hands underneath your forehead, the arms out to the sides, and just releasing here. Pausing for a moment in your crocodile pose. Breathing nice and deeply. On your next inhalation, just bring the hands back either side of you, pushing up slightly. As you exhale, we'll just come into a child's pose. So bringing the feet together, the knees nice and wide to the outside edges of the mat. Just reaching forward through your fingertips, or if that doesn't feel good for you, you can just make a little pillow for your head with your hands, stacking your hands into fists, just bringing them underneath your forehead. Breathing nice and deeply wherever you are and just trying to find that space in the lungs here, in the back of the body. On your next inhalation, slowly walking the hands back towards your body, coming up into a seated position. Finding a comfortable seated position here for this next bit, so even on a chair, or if you want to bring a cushion underneath you or something, just making sure that you're nice and relaxed for this bit. Bring your legs into whatever position suits you. we'll just take a moment. We'll do something called a box breath. So box breath is just a kind of type of yogic breathing where we split the breath into 4 parts. So we have the inhalation, and then we have a pause where we hold the breath for a moment. Then we have the exhalation, and then we again pause for a moment between the breaths. So we've done a little bit of this in an informal way in our yoga classes, but just a nice thing to do. It's really good for calming the parasympathetic nervous system, which is kind of our relaxation part of our body. So we'll just start by rolling the shoulders back, finding that length in the spine. We'll start with just a count of 2 for the first round, and then I'm going to leave it up to you. You could extend that to a count of 3, so splitting each part of the breath into a count of 3, or even a little bit more if you want to. So we'll bring one hand to our tummy, the other to our chest. Just draw our eyes to a close. Just take a deep breath in here. Just sigh it all out through the mouth again. Do that a couple more times. And we'll begin our box breath. So as you inhale, just count to 2. And then pause after the inhalation for a count of 2. And then exhale for a count of 2. And again, pause for a count of 2. Just repeat this from time to your own counting. Just trying to make each part of the breath the same length. Maybe if you feel comfortable, you'd like to add another second onto each part of the breath. I'll just do one more breath here, like this. And on your next inhalation, just opening the eyes, releasing the hands back down beside you. We'll just walk the hands over towards the left side of our body and just release over here, breathing nice and deeply, trying to keep both hips evenly weighted. And then we'll inhale, walk the hands back through center, bring them over towards the right side of our body. And just exhale and release over on this side too. Just releasing the head here as well, bringing the chin to the chest. And inhaling, coming back to center. We'll exhale, come down onto our backs. We'll just draw the knees in towards the chest for a moment, giving ourselves a big hug here. Really squeezing them in, maybe rocking side to side if you want to. I'm just finding some release in the neck and the shoulders here. And then coming back to center, we'll come into our Shavasana now, our relaxation pose. So if you would like to grab yourself a blanket or a cushion or anything to make yourself nice and comfortable, please do. And when you're ready, extending your legs out long to either corner of the mat, or if you feel any tension here in your lower back, just bringing your knees up towards the ceiling, soles of the feet to the ground, letting your knees support each other, rolling your shoulders underneath you, letting your hands out either side if you can. Just feel a little bit more length in the back of the spine, back of the neck. Closing your eyes if you haven't already, and just noticing how your body feels. Drawing your attention inwards and noticing your breath. Taking a couple of deep inhalations, a couple of slow exhalations, and then allowing your breath to return to its natural cycle. With every inhalation, experiencing a sense of openness and growth. With every exhalation, a feeling of deep relaxation and peacefulness. With every exhalation, just letting go of any tension in your body. Allowing every part of you to relax. Your feet, your legs, your hips, your hands, your arms, your shoulders, your whole torso, and your neck, and your head. Letting your jaw relax, your forehead relax, and your whole face soften. Just allowing every part of you to melt a little further into the earth with every breath. Finding a sense of being connected and grounded, and allowing everything to be just as it is. Staying in this state for a few more minutes, just allowing your body and mind some time to absorb the effects and benefits of this practice today. If any thoughts float in, just allowing them to float out again. Always coming back to the breath, flowing in and out of the body.
Still keeping your eyes closed, just bringing some awareness back into your body. Bringing your fingers and your toes. Stretching your arms up overhead for a full body stretch. And releasing your hands back down beside you. Drawing your knees up towards the ceiling, soles of the feet to the ground. Slowly rolling over onto one side. And just pausing here, maybe making a little pillow for your head with your hands. And when you're ready, making your way up to a seated position. Bringing the heart center. Looking to rub them together to generate some heat. Then placing them over your eyes. Allowing your eyes to open as you bring your hands back to heart center. Namaste.